Welcome all to the odds.com breakdown of UFC Fight Night, June 13th. There's been a lot of jokes made about this card, but if we can get that cash, we're going to get that cash. We have 11 fights to break down, and we brought the best of the best MMA analysts here to get that cash and find the angles for us, making his odds.com debut. A man you've probably seen work with us before, but we've got him over here at odds.com. Garrett Kerman in the house. He's a host of the TFTA podcast at Fight Analyst on Twitter. Garrett, thank you so much for rolling with us tonight, my man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I'm here to make you guys some money, so I can't wait to get down to it.
I love it. There he is right there. Just below him, we have Boston Nick, a.k.a. Mr. Fat Fist, whom you know and love. Nick, how are you tonight, man?
You know, same old, sticking and moving, hooking and jabbing. Nice household today, so nice smooth fight card. I know it's a little bit lackluster. The main event should be the co-main event, but hey, we got a couple fights on there that I like.
Yeah, there's interesting betting spots for us. And we have Clint, star of the DieHardMMa podcast, in the house. Clint, how are you, my man?
What is up, Jimmy? You know me, man. I'm always good to go. As long as we've got fights on, I am ready. And the world has been set on fire lately. Did you see all those fight announcements today? We are in for a damn good month of MMA action. I am so stoked.
I did. Fight Island announced. Well, you know, I know we got a lot of fights to break down, but why don't we just have you guys touch on what you're most excited about with Fight Island popping up there? Pretty exciting situation. You brought it up, Clint. What are you most excited about?
You know, that very first pay-per-view on Fight Island, man, it's going to be a triple title fight night. And my boy, Gilbert freaking Burns gets the title shot against Kamaru Usman at 170. That is my favorite thing so far. I've been on that Burns train since he moved up to 170, and he's just been a money maker. I'm telling you right now, Jimmy, he's being disrespected already on the opener, and you know that money's coming in on Usman. I'm telling you now, I'm going to bet Burns. I'm going to bet him until he does not cash for me, and he's going to be a big fat 2-1 dog.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right.
Fix it. Fight analyst Garrett, my man, what are you most excited about Fight Island coming up?
Oh, man. 3 title fights. Alexander Volkanovski, taking on Max Holloway again. You have Peter Yan taking on Jose Aldo. Usman versus Burns. I'm with you, Clint. I've been on the Burns train all along. His entire career. He's actually my favorite fighter in the entire UFC. So I've been riding this guy for forever. So I'm definitely with you on that one. 2-1 odds. We're gonna give you better odds than that. I think so.
Absolutely.
I think Usman's probably gonna be a massive favorite. So I can't wait till we cash on that one.
Nick, anything to add to the upcoming events next month?
Yeah, I can't wait to actually the island and how it all works out. You know what I mean? Like how the entrance is going to be, how the actual structure is going to be, all that stuff. But I'm against you guys. I am on Usman here. I think Usman is just a little bit like Woodley's done. We all know that. We just saw it in this last fight against Burns. If we think that Burns is going to be a guy like Colby or Usman easily like he did with Woodley, we got another. I like your odds at 2-1. Hopefully, I can put that bet in after we get off the show and before it does skyrocket, because I agree with that.
You better jump on it early, buddy. You're not the only one thinking about laying with Usman.
I know.
That's true.
I will be
Jimmy, I'm just hoping they go Survivor style. I hope it's a line of tiki torches that are all lit up, and they give the Octagon girls nice flowery bikinis instead of their normal outfits, and make it all island, man. I hope Dana White's got a coconut with a drink in it. Sell out.
You know, all sports fans have a lot to thank UFC for. UFC and horse racing never stopped for a second for us, kept rolling right through for us, and we're very, very thankful. And now all the other sports are coming on board, so we have a big thank you to the UFC. They led the way with the big sports. Let's get after it right now. We're going to talk about this preliminary card first and foremost. We have the UFC cappers jumping in the chat. Great to see you guys. Dennis Garcia, Beach Boss, Brandon Williams, Gregory Wilson. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's start with, and there's a fight change hours ago right now. It is Tuesday, We're shooting the show on Tuesday, June 9th, and we had just had an announcement on a fight change. Ryan Benoit out of the fight, being replaced. There's border rage in the house, so we're going to talk about all this. But let's start with the welterweight bout that's going to start off the evening. 5'9" American Christian the Beast Aguilera, 13-6-0. Opens at plus 163, still at plus 163. There hasn't been a ton of market moves on any of these fights. Going up against 6'2" American Anthony Aquaman Ivy, 8-2-0, minus 188. Let's go right to you, Clint, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast. Is there a move to make to get this card rolling?
Jimmy, there is a move to make on this fight, and that move is to stay the hell away from it. These are two guys that we don't even know deserve to be in the UFC. Ivy got the call. He was going to step up on short notice last week, and because of that, they went ahead and honored his deal. They went ahead and stayed with this kid, and we just don't know if he's ready for the UFC call yet. So he's gonna do his best. He's gonna get in there and he's gonna put on a show. But this other kid, he's got a bad record on the regional scene. He definitely doesn't deserve to be in the UFC. So I think Ivy's gonna get the win, but I'm also not gonna lay 2-1 on a debutante in the UFC. This is a absolute stay away. Make sure you pee during this one. Grab your beer or your shot of Fireball and your popcorn. Get ready for the rest of the card. I'm not touching this one from a betting perspective.
Garrett, stay away bout, says our man Clint. Do you agree?
I 110% agree. I don't want any part of this fight whatsoever. If he's set at 2.5 rounds, maybe I'll take the under there. But if it's out over 1.5, I'm staying completely far away from this fight. Shouldn't even been on the card to begin with. Two guys that shouldn't even be in the UFC. Not a knock against them. It's just the truth. But yeah, I'm staying far away from this fight.
Far away. Boston Nick, these guys gonna have a couple drinks, need popcorn. Are you gonna make a move here on fight one of this preliminary card?
You know me, I always got to put a little bit of money on somebody. Listen, I do have a feeling this is going to be like a grindy type grapple fest, mixed with a little bit of striking. The smaller cage, I think, is going to play dividends when it comes to the grappling here. Listen, he was supposed to fight last week in regards to Ian Heinisch. Ian Heinisch ended up fighting. Both these guys have winning records, but on the regional circuit, I mean, it's the guys they face are absolute trash. So I might throw a couple shekels on that plus 160 Aguilera. And I do like the look there on fight not to go the distance as well if I can get some plus odds on it.
There you go. That is the first fight on the card, welterweight bout. Let's move into a women's flyweight bout. Now, we're not entirely sure the order where they're going to put this fight. We're just going to pop it off second here. 5'6", Kazakhstan-born Maria Agapova, 8-1-0. As this was just recently announced, you can get odds anywhere right now. It's not up at Bet365, but you can get Agapova, Kazakhstan-born Agapova, anywhere between minus 185 and minus 227, depending on where you're shopping. She's going up against 5'1" American Hannah Shockwave Cyphers, 10-5-0, anywhere between plus 145 and plus 182. Garrett, my man, let's go to you. Do you see a look here in this women's flyweight bout?
This is going to be a very close fight. I think much closer than the odds really suggest. I know that Agapova has a massive 8-inch reach advantage, and she looked really good in the Contender Series with her striking, mixing it up between punches and kicks. She kind of looked like a younger Joanna Jędrzejczyk out there, kind of, but like her ground game is really atrocious. But and Cyphers is really, really tough. I know she's super short and she doesn't look like she's like a tough girl, but I really think she's got to get in there and mix it up. I think there's more value on Cypher. She's fought the much better competition. I mean, night and day better competition here. And we're getting her plus 175. She just fought, so she's kind of fresh and she's in fight shape more so than I think Agapova is right now. So I would probably take Agapova. I would take Cyphers here on a dog money on plus 175. I think she's even going to get steamed even further to probably minus 250. If we could probably get plus 200 on Cyphers, who's super tough as long as she keeps moving forward and the smaller octagon, I think she could take the upset here.
Let's go to Clint here. So we have 5 inches taller, the Kazakhstan fighter, huge reach advantage. Clint, we have this smaller cage. How are you handling this flyweight bout?
6.5 reach advantage to be exact there, Jimmy. So I'm going to have to go head to head early on this one. I think the only side that you can look on this one is Agapova. I'm actually considering using her in potentially a parlay piece with somebody else on the card. Haven't pulled the trigger just yet on it because I want to dig in and make sure I'm actually, set on my read before I make that move. But I just don't see how Cyphers wins this fight. She's a natural 105er. The UFC doesn't have a 105-pound division, but if they did, she would be a title contender at that weight class. She fights at 115, and she's undersized there. She's coming up on short notice to fight at 125. She's fighting 2 weight classes up here, Jimmy. This girl's got such a size advantage. There was a fight a couple weeks ago. I say that it's a couple of months ago, actually, where a similar situation happened. The younger fighter, who was just so much larger, was fighting a fighter who came up a multiple weight classes, and I'm blanking on the names of the girls, but it was an obvious spot where the larger fighter was a plus 150 underdog, and I completely missed the boat on it because skill and technique matter to an extent. At a certain point, size begins to matter. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I know she's fighting a younger fighter who doesn't have as much experience as her, but Agapova is vicious. She has excellent head movement. She's extremely aggressive. She has a big body kick that she likes to work, and she throws flurries with her hands down, but she's going to be fighting from 6.5 inches out. Cyphers struggles to close that distance. She's just not that athletic. I think Agapova is going to be able to hit her where Cyphers can't hit back. And I think Agapova is going to take a very convincing decision here. Otherwise, she's probably going to get the finish.
Agapova being looked at from Iron Man Clint. Boston Nick, what do you think here?
I really honestly couldn't agree more. Listen, Agapova lost her, Contender Series debut to, I believe it was Tracy Cortez. And she just got taken down and out-wrestled. And that was just about it. But since then, she has migrated over to American Top Team, this guy's favorite camp. Their wrestling coaches, the level of sparring partners that she's with and coaches and all that stuff. I mean, if she's putting up just a little bit, picking up with just a little bit of what they're putting down, I mean, there's going to be no worry in the grappling department. But then again, Hannah Cyphers.
And with my girl Jillian Robertson, too.
Okay, you know what I mean? But Hannah Cyphers does not grapple, so I don't even have to worry about the grappling here. You know what I mean? So I honestly think this is an easy W for Agapova. Like you said, Clint, this is 2 weight classes up. Not 1, but 2. Yeah. And she just took a pretty decent beating. What was it, Hill, right? A couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago?
That's the fight Mackenzie that I most compared this one to was Angela Hill. Angela Hill had that reach advantage on her, and she doesn't have much of a ground game either, but she just ripped Cyphers to the mat because she's bigger, taller, and she TKO'd her. Cyphers couldn't do anything. Hill stepped right into the mount. I think we've got an opportunity for a very similar thing to happen here.
And Agapova has 2 finishes inside the distance by submission and by top control ground and pound. So
I didn't even know this was at 125, guys, so don't mind me. I still thought this was at 115. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
It makes a massive difference. And I know that's the only way Cyphers could take the fight because it's a quick turnaround. She can't cut down again that quickly, I'd assume. So she's got to go up an extra 10 pounds. And I just think that makes a huge difference, especially in the strength category. I know Cyphers is a tank at 115. She can hold her own there, but at 125, I don't know if she can so much.
Agreed. Definitely agree.
There you have the women's flyweight bout. Agapova, a big favorite against Hannah Cyphers. My man Gregory Wilson in the chat says, I think Cyphers may be able to overpower Agapova. Cyphers isn't afraid to come in, and I like the dog money.
Well listen, let me comment on that real quick. If you like the dog money, you missed that train because she opened up at a plus 215. And she's at plus 150 right now. So you lost 70 cents on the dollar right there. So I wouldn't. You missed the boat when it comes to the actual value in Hannah Cyphers.
I would actually go ahead and disagree with my boy Nick here because it's coming the other way, man. Everybody's putting money on Agapova right now. I see the line moving from minus 160 down to minus 225. Cyphers is going up. I think it's going to bounce right back. I'll bet you Cyphers closes right around 200 again.
What's Cyphers at right now?
Cyphers is sitting at plus 175.
She opened at 215 though.
But I'm saying I'm looking at 5 dimes. They opened her up at plus 130. So maybe that opener came out a little bit later, but it's been all Agapova money since.
Yeah, I got slammed pretty hard.
Fight time.
I'm gonna take a look.
Sorry about that, man. Didn't mean to cut you off. What was that?
No, I'm just saying it got something pretty hard, like pretty quick, like really quickly. Like I remember it was like minus 160, like you said. And within like 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, I saw it went skyrocketed minus 225.
We're looking right now, opened at plus 215. Right now, plus 185.
We're at.
Best fight odds.
No, I know, but what book?
Oh, I'm not. It doesn't show. It just shows best and worst.
Alrighty, we're gonna move right over to a tough spot. Actually, no. Let's move right over to the featherweight bout. 5'10" American Jordan Native Psycho Griffin, 18-7-0. Bet365 opened Griffin at minus 170. It's still at minus 170. Going up against 5'7" American Derek Minner, 24-11-0. Garrett, let's start with you. Is there a look here in this featherweight bout? You're muted. There we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I kind of went back and forth on this fight. At first, I kind of liked Minner because of we're getting good dog money on him. But now that the line is kind of coming back down, I'm kind of siding for Jordan Griffin. I think he's just more dynamic than Minner on the feet, and I just think he's more. He has the ability to just overcome the adversities, especially on the mat. Very good subspecialist. And he already has sub-Minner on the regional scene. I know he was losing for probably 9 minutes of that fight, but at the end of the day, he got the W. And I kind of see the same going here. We're getting minus 160. I think it's a decent line. But yeah, I would take Jordan Griffin here minus 160. I'm just not sold on Minner. And plus, on top of it, Griffin's only lost to actually good competition. Minner's lost to bad competition during his time on the regional scene, no less, into the UFC as well.
Let's go to Boston. Nick here. Do you agree with this look on Griffin?
I do. I like Griffin here, but Minner, he's not going to let this fight go without some blood. He's gritty. He comes that first round. He's coming gunning for you. So if he just gets out of that first round, Griffin gets out of that first round, I do believe he could actually get the finish. He tends to fade and gas Minner. I would actually look for inside the distance prop on Griffin if I can get a over plus 300-ish. I have to take a look at that, but I do side with Griffin here. And like you mentioned before, he's already beat him. I know he was winning the first 7 or so minutes of that fight until Griffin took over, but it's because Minner faded, and he's known to do that in every one of his fights. So I'm going to go with Griffin here.
Two guys on Griffin. Clint, what do you think here?
I can't disagree, Jimmy. These guys absolutely nailed it. And it's funny, when I did my live stream, the DieHardMMa podcast yesterday, the chat informed me that this was a rematch. I didn't even realize that these guys had fought before. So digging into that past fight, Nick's absolutely right. Minner was winning it until he lost his gas. And that's the thing. I can't bet on this guy, even as a dog, because of his gas tank, because of his fight IQ. He sells out for the submission, Jimmy. He dives on your neck. He dives on these low percentage submission attempts. And when he doesn't get them, he gasses out and he quits. He has got 21 of his 24 wins by submission, and he's got 8 of his 11 losses by submission, Jimmy. This guy is sub or bust. And Griffin, I trust this guy's gas tank, especially since he's been in the UFC. Like they both said, he's fighting a higher level of competition, and he's shown to be competent. So I think this is going to be a hairy first round, but if it gets out of that, it's Griffin all day. This is going to be a live betting situation for people that like to do that. If it gets out of round 1, I would smash Griffin. The other thing I would look at, I'm going to go ahead and plug this here real quick, Jimmy. I'm doing a new show for odds.com, Odds HQ. Later on this week, we're doing Total Madness. We're going to go over the totals after they come out for all the major sports books and see if we like overs and unders. And this is one that I'm very closely keeping an eye on, because if they are dumb enough to give us a 2.5, I know they won't, but if they do, under is an easy play. It's going to be 1.5, and as long as that price is right, I still think the under might be live.
Yep, I agree. Can't agree enough, honestly.
Looking at a possible under here in the featherweight bout, we got Maxwell Smart in the house. DJ Big Boss joining us. Flipper 13. Greg
Big Boss gave us some cashers on esports today, Jimmy.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry, Big Ragu. What's up, Big Boss? Love you too, buddy.
Michael DeMaria in the house. Rye Cape. Brandon Williams, Border Rage, Beach Boss. Thank you guys so much for joining us Odds.com breakdown. UFC Fight Night this Saturday, June 13th, Apex, Las Vegas. We have a difficult fight for you guys to break down. We just found out about this a couple of hours ago. A fight change. Ryan Benoit out, being replaced. So the Tyson Nam-Benoit fight is not going to be here. So Tyson Nam was a slight dog to Benoit, but now we have 5'5" Uzbekistan-born Zaruk the Lion Adashev, 3-1-0. Difficult to get a lot of information on the Lion Adashev. Clint, talk to us about this spot here.
This is one, Jimmy, that I haven't had the time to look into. As you know, right before the show popped off, I sent you a text message letting you know that this was breaking news. The Lion is stepping in here on short notice, and I know absolutely nothing about this kid. So he's 3-1. He's got 2 wins by knockout, which I think is tempting me to play into the hands of Tyson Nam. Obviously, pre-tape, haven't had a chance to look at what he actually does, but I can tell you a little bit about Tyson Nam. What this guy does is he walks forward. He's one of the most exciting 135ers on the scene that is not in the UFC. They finally brought him over, and he has been outclassed so far in his time here at the UFC. He can get jabbed to death, but if you can't out-finesse him on the feet, he's gonna put you out. This kid's got some serious power. He stands really long, really tall. He keeps a good, tight, high boxing guard. And I think his best punch is his right cross. He's also got a powerful right hook, and he likes to attack with low kicks. I think this kid is going to get a rude awakening. Coming into the UFC with 4 fights to your name, he's about to get introduced in a nasty way. I'll bet you Tyson Nam is probably opening somewhere around -300 when the bookmakers get to it. And I mean, until I look at this kid, the Lion, and see if he's got something else that he brings to the table, I think he's going to get wrecked.
Possible getting wrecked. You know what, Nick, I want to hear what you think about this spot. I know we don't have a lot of info on Zaruk, and we just heard about it, but you think that Nam might be susceptible. I mean, you were telling me that this guy, a loss, and he could be out of the UFC. Expand on that.
I mean, right now, what is he, 0-2 in the UFC currently? Sergio Pettis is one of those losses, no longer with the company. Other one, Kai Kara fan. So that's an L you can take.
Sergio didn't get cut for lack of skill, though. Sergio went to Bellator for greener pastures.
Yeah. Another argument for another day. That being said, he's a low volume striker, but as Clint said, he does hit hard. I mean, he does. But I think what we're forgetting to mention about Zaruk here is he's a world class kickboxer. He's got 3 wins in Bellator. Those are the 3 you're talking about. I think you said about 2 by knockout, 1 by decision or whatnot. Yes, he's fought in some nobodies in Bellator, but I watched some of his kickboxing. I think it was in Glory. Yeah, Glory fights. He hits hard. He hits like a truck. He is 5'5". I want to know what the reach advantage here and disadvantage here is. If you guys can look into that real quick for me, but this guy's got a chance. If they're going to give him, if they're going to give me a +200 on a Nam against Nam, I might sprinkle a little shekels on that one. I'm not high on Nam whatsoever.
GK, what do you think of this look here? Is Adashev possible underdog here?
I don't think so. I think Nam should probably win this one kind of easily. He's actually UFC caliber. We don't know much about Adashev. The only thing I got from Twitter was that he's an Asian hand-to-hand combat champion. He's a WKU kickboxing champion, and he's a 16-3 kickboxing record over at Glory Kickboxing. That's all I've gotten on him. I watched a little bit of tape. You know, it's great. I mean, he's got great accolades. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, when you get to MMA, it's kind of a different story. We've seen those kickboxers go from kickboxing to MMA.
I watched him out-grapple a grappler for a round and a half that had mad submissions.
But against who though?
It was. I know. I hear you. It was. Bellator, but it was his first.
Some Bellator cans out there. We really don't know. It's a lot of unknowns.
Kickboxing background into out-grapple. Someone's been grappling for that long, and then to knock him out in the second round as well. I thought that was like, you know what? That guy has at least the ability for Nam not to try to take it to the ground if he thinks this guy is going to stand with them, or if he thinks that he can't stand with Zaruk. So, I mean, I saw Zaruk's got some power, and it reminds me a little bit of Volk. Short, stocky, and he throws kind of like side wing punches, and he lands one of them. That's all it takes to put Nam out of there. So, Yeah, I think it's gonna be a strike fest. We're not gonna see any grappling. I want to see what the inside the distance is, or maybe
Nam's got a 68-inch reach, by the way, Nick.
What is it?
Yeah, he does have
68.
And what is that, like a 5-inch reach advantage?
Making You Money came in the chat, said that the Zaruk is a 64.5 reach, so a 3.5 inch
Okay.
reach.
Ain't that big of a deal. You know what I mean? It's 3.5, but ain't the biggest deal. I would have thought it would have been more than that.
But Nam actually uses his jab quite well. He uses his reach really well.
But that's it. He's a 1-2, and that's it. You know what I mean? It's
and
one.
he's got 65% striking defense as well, and he throws really good volume, 11.11 strikes per minute as well. So I mean, I feel like he's going to be able to jab this man to death, keep the distance, and just stay away from any type of power from this 5'5" kickboxer that turned MMA fighter.
No, yeah, I hear you.
Well, a lot more information we need to get on Zaruk the Lion Adeshev, but Nick does not like Tyson Nam.
I don't like Tyson Nam either, Jimmy. If that helps you out at all, I don't like Tyson Nam. I actually liked Ryan Benoit in that last fight.
Me too.
I was planning on maybe making a bet on him. I was especially looking at the under in that fight. I'm not sold on Nam whatsoever. However, I don't know that I can trust the new kid, so I can't say much. I kind of lean with GK for right now just because I don't have any information. After I do some tape study, maybe keep an eye out on my Twitter. I'll let you know if I end up on something, but it's hard to fade the experience of somebody like Tyson Nam in this type of a spot.
And I got a feeling you're gonna watch some tape and agree.
Maybe so, Nick. Maybe so.
I'm hoping.
Let's move on to the next bout on the preliminary card. We got a women's bantamweight bout here. We have 5'7" American Julia Raging Panda Avila. 7-1-0, a huge favorite. Opened up at Bet365 at -450. It's where it stands right now. No change there. Going up against 5'6" American Gina Danger Mazzani, 6-3-0, sitting at +350. Nick, is there a move to be made here?
I believe so. I mean, there's not too much of a breakdown here. I mean, Mazzani was cut from the UFC early last year. I mean, UFC needs.
She didn't even know that, by the way.
That's hilarious.
She didn't even know. She had no idea that she was released. It was the craziest thing.
That's
Oh my
rough.
God.
Moving on.
She's serious with her career. I mean, she was cut. UFC needs to put a full card together, obviously, and unfortunately, we have the honor to watch Gina Mazzani once again. That being said, Avila is going to pool over her in everywhere fashion. She's 10 times better. I mean, I see Avila inside the distance here. I want to know where I can get that at. If it's up yet, is it, Clint? Do you know?
Yeah, let me look it up 1 second.
Well,
I'll find it.
Gregory Wilson's all over it. He said, I love the -125 on inside the distance here. Wish I got the +111, but she is an animal. That's from our Gregory Wilson.
Okay, -125. Lock it in. Lock that in.
There we have it. Nick looking at taking Avila inside the distance. GK, what do you think of that look?
That sounds about right. I mean, she's kind of better everywhere. I know Mazzani's probably going to look to push the pace and kind of get inside and push her against the fence. She just fought at 155, so she's coming down to 135 for this fight. But, I mean, we're talking skill for skill. Avila beats Mazzani probably 9.5 out of 10 times. Even on her worst day. I mean, the only loss that Avila had was due to like a hand injury in between rounds. So essentially, she probably should be 8-0 here. But yeah, Avila, I can't see how Mazzani wins this fight. Inside the distance is a great line, -125. There's no way she's going to take a full 15 minutes to take Mazzani out, in my opinion.
You know, that
I
reminds
got to
me
go
of
with Avila.
my Herbert Burns inside the distance bet on the first fight of the night against Dunham.
That's a great bet, sir. Great bet, sir.
Got you, Mo.
Clint, what do you think here? Is this a nice look on Avila inside the distance?
This is a great look on Avila inside the distance, Jimmy. However, the move to be made was made a long time ago. Your boy snagged her right when the line opened. I got Avila when she was sitting at -300. I stuck her in a parlay. I got her locked up, and I'm ready to roll. I've got her tied with somebody else later on the card that I'll let you in on when we get there. But I love Avila here. The best thing that I think I've seen about Avila is her elbows. She uses elbows on the clinch when she exits, when she breaks. She's always hammering. That's right, Nikki. Show off those elbows, baby.
Right on the clinch.
So the other thing she does very well, Jimmy, is she frames the face. So when her opponents get up on her and try and clinch her, when Gina tries to put her up against the cage, which is what she knows how to do, this girl gives her a nice elbow to the throat and just jams it up there until they're so uncomfortable they get off her. She's physically strong. She's a beast. Vizani's game is not going to work here. I love Avila in this spot.
Avila all around here. The Raging Panda now sitting at minus 450. Nice grab by Clint at minus 300. Those of you who want to cut the juice can take it inside the distance. Clint, speaking of which, why have you shied away from inside the distance?
That was my question, right?
Simply because I got her in a parlay. I've got more ways to trust her. You know, if something happens, if Gina decides to be durable and, you know, maybe Avila wants to show off her skill set and doesn't want to put her away, that kind of thing. We've seen fighters do that. You're just protecting your bet. You know, if it goes to the scorecards and she destroys her for a full 15 minutes, maybe should have finished her, but Mazzani gets to be a warrior and wiggles out of it or something like that, my bet is still safe. There's a couple of other decent-sized favorites on the card that I think she's parlay worthy, and I think that's kind of the way to go on this card, just so you don't get burned. I like the inside the distance. I think that's kind of the way to go now that she's sitting at minus 500. I like that a whole lot better, but catching her early at minus 300, that's parlay material in my opinion.
Very true. Very true.
Well, let's go to the main event of the prelim card. Lightweight bout. 5'9" American Charles Boston Strong Rosa. 12-4-0. Opened at bet 365 at plus 137. That's where he is right now. Going up against 5'7" American Kevin Angel of Death Aguilar. 17-3-0 is his MMA professional record. GK, let's go right to you. What do you think about this lightweight bout? Is there a move to be made?
I'm really liking Kevin Aguilar in the spot. Minus 170. I think we're getting a great line over Charles Rosa. I don't see where Rosa has any advantage anywhere in this entirety of this fight. It's at 155. He's already a small 145er in my opinion. He doesn't have a ton of mass, doesn't have a ton of muscle in him. He doesn't have a lot of pop in his strikes either. I think his jiu-jitsu is kind of overrated as well. He doesn't have good offensive wrestling either. I don't see where he has any opportunity winning this fight. Aguilar is just going to bully him. He's going to come forward. He's going to throw more volume, which he already does. He's going to throw much more powerful shots as well. And he's just going to get in the face of Rosa. Rosa just fought. I know it wasn't like a really beat up, but I mean, he just got completely outmatched on the mat.
And he didn't take a beating physically.
No, he didn't take a beating. But I think he will take a beat in this fight, and I'm all over Kevin Aguilar minus 170. I think he should be at least minus 225 in this.
GK, you just triggered Nick. You have no idea.
I know I did.
I'm going last on this.
I know I did. I'm gonna go last.
He's ready to fire. Let's go to you, Clint. What do you think of this look on the Angel of Death?
At the sake of pissing off my boy Nicky Elbows over there, I'm with GK here. I don't see it. Boston Strong has had a rough run in the UFC, man. He had a neck injury that put him out for a couple of years, and after taking a 2-year layoff, he comes back. He gets a huge upset over Manny Bermudez, but as we all know watching the tape, he got his toes in the cage, man. That armbar that he pulled off was maybe an illegal move, and he might not have deserved it. So then he comes out against Bryce Thug Nasty. Now, I bought in on Boston Strong for that fight. I was not a believer of Thug Nasty just yet, and he got schooled. So he's looking to come out here. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. I just don't think he has the tools to get it done. He's got a good leg kick game. He puts his head down. He wings these wild overhand punches, but he doesn't have any pop. He doesn't have any power, Jimmy. I don't see where he's going to get the respect of Kevin Aguilar. And can we just say Aguilar's got one of the coolest nicknames in MMA history, the Angel of Death. I mean, come on. How do you not love this guy?
Yeah, it sounds like an 80s rock band.
Right? He's got an 86% takedown defense rate, Jimmy. And as my boy GK said, Rosa does not have a very good offensive wrestling game. Once he's on the mat, his jiu-jitsu game is sick, but he doesn't have a way to get the fight there. I don't see Aguilar meeting him on the ground, and if it doesn't go to the ground, Aguilar is by far the better striker in this situation. So I got to be on the side of Aguilar. I'm hoping that some money comes in on Boston Strong and gives me a better line. I don't think I trust Aguilar in a parlay. Maybe I might have to. He's one of the guys I'm kind of looking at, but I would prefer to play him straight. I think he wins a very convincing decision here because I do think that Boston Strong's going to be able to dig deep, stay durable, and get this thing to the cards. Also, because Kevin Aguilar is coming off of a rough KO loss himself, usually you'll see those guys be a little more hesitant. Even if they can get the finish, they play it safe just to get the win, to make sure they get their careers back on track and lock up that win purse. So I think there's a chance he pulls this thing off by a unanimous decision.
Interesting. JC looking for parlay picks. The main one that we've found so far is a Vila, but little hesitant for Clint to pull the trigger on Aguilar. Let's hear let's hear our man Boston Nick coming. He's been chomping at the bit. Get in here.
I mean, yeah, just simply because I can't agree freaking enough, man. I love Rosa. I really do. This is my boy.
He's a homer.
But from a betting perspective, I like the over 2.5 here. Listen, Rosa can poop in your apple pie. Don't get crap twisted. He can submit you at will if Aguilar decides to wrestle with him and go down to the ground, which he shouldn't. He should keep the fight standing. The smaller cage benefits him as well. Rosa's not going to be able to move around and use his karate fight stance type style. But Rosa at 155, you all have to remember, he was a 155 Titan FC champ for like 3 years almost. And that being said, he has fought at 155. He has faced guys at that size before. And I actually want to see what he looks like at the weigh-ins at 155. Yeah, you guys
When was he the Titan FC champ, Nick?
Yeah, excuse me. Over in Boston. I'm sorry. Kenyan organization was in Boston. I can't remember. Excuse me.
Okay, wherever the hell it was. How long ago was it?
It was in 2013. Anyways, actually 2014. He took he rendered the belt to fight Dennis Seaver. It was the big organization in Boston where like Calvin Qatar came from, all those guys. It slipped my mind. But I just want to see what he looks like at 155. I want to see what he looks like at the weigh-ins. I want to see how filled out he is. Yeah, he's definitely the underdog here. I mean, I don't mind if people are jumping on him, but the smart play is probably Aguilar by decision or over 2.5. And I can't say that without having my heart hurting. So, honestly, I love you, Rosa. I can't bet you here.
Well, that is your preliminary card. Let's go around the horn and look at best bets on this preliminary card. Let's start with Clint, star of the DieHardMMa podcast. What do you think is your best bet on this preliminary card?
I mean, my best bet is Julia Avila Jimmy. However, that's kind of a shit sandwich because she's minus 500 now. How can I possibly give that out as my best bet to the people? So we'll go ahead and see Avila minus 125 inside the distance, minus 110 inside the distance. Just because I can't be given a chalky minus 500 to the people, I apologize.
You did get it at minus 300, so respect there. It has moved quickly to minus 450. GK, best bet on this preliminary card.
I'm going with Kevin Aguilar, minus 170. I'm very confident he rolls over Rosa.
Nice.
Massive step down in competition.
What's your tongue?
Massive step down in competition over his last two fights, going from Dan Ige and Zubara Tukagov over to Charles Rosa. Massive step down. I'm all over Kevin Aguilar, minus 170.
Aguilar is the look from our GK. Boston Nick, best look on this preliminary card.
I know you want another look, Jimmy, but my look was Avila inside the distance. It's my best bet. I'm loading up on it. I like it a lot. So,
I like it.
Went first.
I like it. There you have it. That is the preliminary card from our guys at odds.com. We got GK, the fight analyst. Follow him on Twitter at Fight Analyst. We got Nick, Boston Nick, aka Mr. Fat Fist. You can follow him at Boston or at Mr. Fat Fist. At Mr. Fat Fist on Twitter. And we have Clint Starr, the DieHardMMa podcast. And that is your preliminary card. Get that cash. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. Subscribe to us. Hit the bell so you get notifications. And follow us at Odds110 on Twitter. Time for the main card. Let's get after this main card. Get a little fire in it because we've heard many jokes about this group of fights in UFC Fight Night Apex, June 13th. But we've got through the preliminary card. It is main card time, and we've got our odds.com MMA analysts ready to break this down. We got Clint started DieHardMMa podcast. We got Boston Nick, aka Mr. Thatches. We got GK, the fight analyst in the house. We're going to start with the bantamweight bout. 5'6" American Jordan Espinosa, 14-7-0. Opens at -170 at Bet365. Slight move to -163. Going up against 5'6" American Mark Bumblebee De La Rosa, 11-4-0. Opens at +140. Now at +137. Clint, break it down. How do you start this main card off?
So, Jimmy, it's funny with this card. Everyone's talking shit about it. And the fact of the matter is, we're spoiled. We've had nothing but incredible UFC cards since we came back from the COVID crisis. So I can understand everybody's a little bit bummed about it, but that's why we bet. The people who are just watching these fights, they're probably going to be bored out of their minds. Those of us who have action on them and are looking for good, sharp spots, we are going to be loving this fight card on Saturday. And this fight, this is one that I had a hard time wrapping my brain around, Jimmy. Mark De La Rosa is probably the most untrustworthy fighter in the UFC. I'm shocked this kid still got a job. He's coming off of 3 straight losses, and I really am just – it's got to be because they needed a fight card that they gave him a 4th opportunity. I have no idea why he's still with the organization. So from a skills perspective, Mark De La Rosa's got it all. He's got sharp, tight boxing. He's got crisp hands. He's got a BJJ black belt. He takes opponents' backs very well. He's got a sick choke. He's got good double leg entries. The only problem, he's got a glass ceiling on him based on his physicality. He's unathletic as hell, Jimmy. I don't know how he's going to hold a candle to Jordan Espinosa. Espinosa's incredibly fast. He throws super hard kicks. He closes range insanely fast, and he keeps his hands low and relies on his reflexes. I don't think Mark's even going to be able to hit him. The only problem is Espinosa is a bed shitter. This guy gives up submissions. He gives up takedowns. If it hits the mat, no matter how athletic he is, he's got no answer. I do not understand this fight. I have no idea how it's going to go. A lot of people are saying that Mark De La Rosa is going to pull off the upset here. I don't see how he does it unless Espinosa gift wraps it for him. Problem is, Espinosa might just do that. I'm not touching this one.
A stay away from Clint. First fight on the main card. Boston Nick, what do you think here? Espinosa, De La Rosa.
I mean, De La Rosa might be fighting for his job here. Let's be honest. He's coming off back-to-back losses. Listen, his wife's in the UFC. She's doing pretty decent. You don't want to get cut while your wife is still with the company. That's got to be demasculating. So that's got to be a little oomph under his, you know what I mean? So that being said, though, I really think that this comes down to the wrestling and the better wrestler. So whoever's able to implement that, which I believe is going to be De La Rosa, okay, is going to get the W here. So I have a slight lean to De La Rosa, but Espinosa, like I say, could poo in your apple pie. So it's a slight lean. I want to watch the weigh-ins. I will be making a live bet here. It might be a prop bet. It might be on a side. I'm just not sure just yet. But I'm leaning De La Rosa not to have his wife beat him up after the fight.
If it's a coin flip situation, you're getting a +140 on De La Rosa. Let's see what GK has to say about this spot. Bantamweight bout popping off the main card. GK, what do you think?
Oh, man, this is a very close fight. Obviously, Espinosa has the much better striking of the two, very much better striking. He's very quick, very fast. But I don't know. There's something about De La Rosa here that I kind of see an upset brewing. He's now training at Team Oyama. After he got his shit pushed in by Alex Perez, he's like, fuck, maybe I should go train with this guy. And he's also and Perez just beat the shit out of Espinosa within like 90 seconds.
Never looked better.
Yeah,
I know. And I was all over him in that fight. And he's going to look great.
I was on the wrong side of that one. That was a hell of a performance.
It was phenomenal. But I love that he noticed that he needed a change of camps. I love when fighters do that. Just like Cody Garbrandt did that when he went over to Mark Henry. So I really do see that he's really putting effort into getting better. He's training with great guys over at Team Oyama. You know, Ricky Simone, Marlon Vera. I mean, there's a ton of great lower weight class guys, especially in the wrestling department. If he souls up his wrestling, he can beat Espinoza here. And I think he might have done that here. I think he gotten better there. If he just gets better there, I think he could get him down. He could get the submission. Obviously, it's a strong lean, but this at 135. He's fought at 135 before, and I've seen photos of him. He kind of looks beefier at 135, moving up, getting more mass on him. I've seen he's getting ripped there. He doesn't look a little flabby like he used to at 125. So maybe he got his strength and conditioning in shape. I don't know. There's a lot of intangibles here, but I would not take the favorite money on Espinoza. And I kind of like the dog play on De La Rosa here.
Wow, that's two of our analysts leaning towards making a move on a dog. And we know that Clint loves dogs. We haven't seen those dogs come out yet. Maybe they will shortly. Kelly McMillan in the house. Great to see you, Kelly. We got Just Bleed MMA ready to roll with us. Connor McLaughlin, Sports Gambling Daily, Dutch Boy Fresh, Danny Lagneed. We got a great group. Thank you guys all for joining us. Make You Money in the house. Great group. Let's keep rolling. Next up on this main card, featherweight bout, 5'11" American Andre Touchy Feely. By the way, that's the creepiest nickname in MMA. 27 opens at minus 220, now minus 225. I tell you who not to fall asleep beside. Andre Touchy Feely going up against 5'9" Canadian Charles Air Jourdain. There's a nickname. They need a knucklehead.
That's a good one.
Nickname like Air Jourdain. 10-0, opening up a plus 180 at bet 35. Now becoming a slightly bigger dog at plus 187. Let's go with GK. What do you think about this featherweight bout? Is there a move to make?
I just really like Andre Feely. I think his game is just kind of complete. It's whether or not he's going to implement his wrestling here. If he does, he should dominate like fairly easily. I mean, Jourdain really, this is a massive step up in competition for him, going from Doo-Ho Choi to Feely. I don't think Choi was as good as he was made out to be again. In that fight with Cub Swanson, because it was like just a barn burner. But yeah, I think Feely all day here. He has got a 5-inch reach advantage. He's just the overall package, and going from a fight with Sadiq Youssef to Air Jourdain, I don't see how he's not going to come away with a victory here. Obviously, I really don't like the juice at minus 225. You can get him by decision minus 120. I think that's around reasonable. But Andre Feely definitely is a great parlay piece. I don't see the hype in Jourdain. I know he looked good in one fight, but this is a massive step up. I'm going with Andre Feely here.
I got a feeling that is Clint's parlay, but I'm just guessing right now. Guessing.
Clint, making you money in the chat right now, liking Air Jourdain plus the 180. What do you think here, Clint?
You want me to go after Nick's prediction?
Yeah.
So Nick predicted that this is the anchor of my parlay piece. And what's going on here, folks, is my boy Air Jourdain can't get no love. This is my dog, Jimmy. I got plus 195. I got that line before it dropped. I am on the sharp side of this bad boy. He is underrated as all hell. And the best part is I love fading guys who are stepping up in competition. GK's absolutely right. We've got a guy in Feely who is going toe-to-toe with Sadiq Youssef, which is one of the hottest prospects in the division, a monster fighter. But his game plan mixes perfect with what Jourdain does best. Let me read you a couple stats. Over his UFC career, which has been a long one, Andre Touchy Feely has averaged 4 significant strikes per minute, and he absorbs 3.96. So, I mean, just by this much, he's absorbing as many strikes as he's landing, Jimmy. And that's all there is to say about it. We've got a small sample size on Jourdain, but let me tell you, from his pre-UFC career, nothing changes. He averages 4.85 significant strikes per minute and absorbs 4.89. It's the same thing. This kid welcomes a firefight. What he does is he rips the body. He kills his opponent's body at every opportunity, and he rips leg kicks. He reminds me a whole lot of Justin Gaethje, the way he ends combinations with leg kicks. When he's in close, his opponents are trying to clinch, he rips the leg. He does everything he can to wreck his opponents and make them weaker in the later rounds, and that is why he tore apart Doo Ho Choi, because Doo Ho Choi was weak when round 2 came around, and Jourdain never stops. Fili is an incredible fighter. He's got pop on his punches, but he's going to welcome a brawl with this kid. The only thing that I'm worried about is Fili going back to his grappling. If he takes Jourdain down, he's got a significant advantage there. However, I think that Jourdain's gas tank is going to hold up, and I think that's a patch that he has been working on in his game. Looking at him on Instagram, kid's been putting some serious muscle on, and you know what that means? That's grappling, that's strength, that's defending takedowns. He's going to have a better time keeping this fight where he wants it, and he's constantly coming after his opponents until that final bell rings. I have bought in on Air Jourdain, Jimmy. I have stuck my flag in the ground. We cashed on him as an underdog against Doo Ho Choi. He's a bigger dog here, and I know it's a step up, but I have got to ride with my boy. Air Jourdain, lock it up.
Back in the Knucklehead here at plus 180. And we got T-Man's World in the chat agreeing. Beach Boss possibly coming over
My
to the
boys.
Canadian side and making you money. Was all over it, right? From the beginning, making you money, saying, let's go, Clint. Nick, talk to us, man. What do you think about
Jourdain coming off the biggest win of his career? Not arguably, that's 100%. But is Superboy overhyped, guys? I mean, really, he's lost his last 3 fights. One to Charles Jourdain, I think Cub, and I believe the other one was, I can't remember, Thiago Tavares, maybe? I don't know. That being said, though, it's a smaller cage. Fili's, I think, is going to be able to implement that grappling game that Clint is scared about. Put him on the fence, maybe get an inside leg trip, take him to the ground. Now, like you said before, a small cage, but I do think this benefits both guys as well. Yeah, the better inside boxer inside the clinch is Jourdain, but when it comes to overall striking at range, I believe that it's Fili, but he's going to run out of real estate. He's going to know that real soon, and he's going to end up putting him on the cage, taking him down eventually, and I believe he's going to end up submitting him or winning a decision. I'm on Fili here. I'm not on Jourdain.
We got Fili looks from Nick and GK, and Clint on a dog alert. And he's got a lot of great cappers in the chat reading, making you money. T-Man's World and Beach Boss may just come over to that dark side. There you have it. That's the second fight on the main card this Saturday, June 13th, Apex. Let's move on. Bantamweight bout from the Republic of Georgia. 5'6", Merab the Machine Dvalishvili. 10-4-0. Huge favorite. Opens at minus 350 at bet 365. That's where it's still at. Going up against 5'4" American Ray, the Taz Mexican Devil Borg, 13-5-0, plus 275 dog Clint. What do you think about this dog? I know that you've been interested in the Taz Mexican Devil before.
I have, Jimmy. He's incredibly underrated. Ray Borg has exactly the skill set that you want to see in MMA. He's an incredible high-caliber wrestler. He mat returns people constantly. He's got fast, tight hands. In his last fight, he actually showed those hands off, and he's got some serious speed and some decent pop in his punches. The problem here, Jimmy, is that he's fighting at 135. Ray Borg belongs at 125 where he can physically dominate his opponents. He is simply too small for 135. He struggled against his last opponent in Ricky Simone, and he couldn't get that takedown working, and he just doesn't have enough pop on his punches to hurt the guys in this division. Merab Dvalishvili is basically a better version of Ricky Simone. Jimmy, this is the anchor of my parlay. I got in early on Merab, and I got him locked up at minus 278 for that parlay. That's a two-banger, buddy. It came out to minus 123, and I'm laying 2.46 units to win 2 on that bad boy, because if there was ever, I don't use the L word, Jimmy, but if there was ever a lock on this card, this is it. Every opportunity, every path to victory that Ray Borg has, Merab does better.
I
There you
agree.
have it.
I
There you
agree.
have it. Nick, jump in, man. Jump
I
in.
mean, Ray Borg in his last outing fought Ricky Simone, right? And he was supposed to be the guy to out-grapple Ricky Simone, everybody thought. Ricky Simone easily took him down. He out-grappled Ray Borg, the grappler. But the one thing that I saw in that fight, which was kind of weird, I didn't think I'd see it, is Ray Borg's hands look pretty damn dangerous.
tight.
Right? His boxing was crisp. That's one thing I was worried about because I was on Simone, and he was throwing some heavy leather, but he didn't catch him. Now, Simone also beat Merab, but in my opinion, I don't think he really beat him. Clint, you remember what happened with that when he the technical decision where he didn't tap, and after the bell they said he was unconscious and whatnot? He was beating Ricky Simone up and down, taking him down at will. So if Merab's going to take Ricky down at will, and Ricky's going to basically take Ray Borg down at will like he basically did, I mean, what do you think is going to happen here? I can't agree enough with Clint. I like Merab here by decision. I think Ray Borg lasts all three. I think Merab by decision is a good look, depending on what the odds are right now. If you could take a look at him, and that parlay piece.
By decision is minus 200, by the way.
Woo.
Ooh.
That's parlayable too.
It is, but that's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
That's the highest. That's the highest decision.
I
line
wouldn't
I've
be
ever seen.
parlaying a prop like that at that price. If you're going to parlay him, take him straight. If you're going to lay that chalk, don't lock yourself into a decision only because Merab's going to be so much bigger and so much stronger. He may end up with some kind of a TKO here.
It maybe even a slam TKO. You never know. Possible.
Going rampage style.
And no, you know, it's definitely possible.
Rob wins this hands down.
It's definitely a lock. This is definitely a lock. I don't think Ray Borg doesn't even have an ounce of a chance in this fight, unfortunately. And I feel bad for him because he just look at the guys he's getting: Ricky Simone, Casey Kenny. You know,
He can't catch a break.
No, and he really can. Just give him a striker, give him a chance at 135. You know, don't give him Merab. Merab's averaging over 17 takedowns per 15 minutes. 17 attempts. That's insane. And he's averaging over 7 takedowns landed during those 15 minutes. So, yeah, he's gonna get absolutely hammered and dominated. There's no way you should be taking Borg in this fight.
GK, are you going to be using the machine?
I would probably anchor. I wanted Merab early. Unfortunately, I don't get lines super early, but you know, he's minus 400. Now you literally have to put him just parlays. You can't straight bet him. It's just too much of a juice. So, but yeah, he's got to be in all of your parlays. He's got to be your anchor. Has to be.
There you have it. The machine up against the Mexican Devil. Let's move on to the co-main event, and let's let Brandon Lease in our chat lead us in. Brandon Lease says Vettori gonna get humbled. Vettori gonna get humbled. Middleweight bout, 6'1" American Carl Baby K Roberson, 9-0, opens at Bet365 plus 175. Now you can get a plus 180. Going up against 6 Italian Marvin, the Italian Dream Vettori, 14-4-1, minus 210 opener at Bet365. Now just minus 220. Timothy in the chat says Marvin all day. Nick, what do you think about the Italian Dream? Could he get touched here?
Listen, both these guys have excellent stand-up. We all know that. But what separates these two fellas is that grappling. Roberson right now is averaging a 53% takedown defense, and that's just not going to cut it with Vettori. I believe he can strike with him, but if he's smart, he's going to take him right down to the mat and dominate him. Roberson's been known to be taken to the mat and dominated. As our previous breakdown was a couple weeks ago with Vettori and Roberson, it's the same. The only thing that isn't the same is the odds. I mean, we had Vettori at minus 150 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. Now we got him at minus 220, and then Roberson come back at plus 180-ish. I'm still on Vettori. I believe he's parlayable, but I might look into a prop, maybe inside the distance, maybe by decision, depending on the odds. Maybe both if I can get plus 185 and then higher on the next one. So, but I like Vettori here. He's parlayable for sure.
Making You Money says Vettori the win parlay play. GK, what do you do here in the co-main event this Saturday night?
I'm still on Vettori here. I've been on Vettori kind of the first 2 times we were supposed to fight, and I'm still on him here. I just feel the pace, the pressure is really gonna wear on Roberson. And also, I mean, I just haven't been sold on him. I know he's a good kickboxer, good defensive striker, got some pop in his strikes. Only has one KO in his last like 5 or 6 fights, but on the Contender Series in his 4th fight. But yeah, I just think Vettori is a more well-rounded fighter in this. He's going to push the pace. He's got more. He definitely throws not way more volume, but he throws 9.87 strikes per minute compared to Roberson's only 6.08. So he's going to be the one that's going to be the aggressor here. And then you're talking about a guy that really isn't fighting anybody good. I mean, Roman Kopylov. It was his last fight. No one really knows who the hell he is, and he beat him. He actually took him down, submitted him, said, how bad he really was. And then Wellington Turman, a fight that he definitely lost, in my opinion. He definitely lost that fight. He got taken down at will in that fight against Turman. And I just think Vettori is just the overall better fighter, and I kind of like him to win a decision here. I'm not sure what the decision line is, but I do like him to win a decision here.
Robertson has to land a bomb to beat Vettori and just put his lights out, in my opinion.
There's a lot
Agreed.
of cappers in the chat that are liking this dog here and Baby K. Clint, what do you think?
So, Jimmy, I have been on the side of Marvin Vettori for a very, very long time. This is a kid that I kind of put my stamp on. When he came into the UFC, immediately caught my eye. His fight with Israel Adesanya really impressed me. That's maybe the best fight that we talked about this last time. Since, besides maybe Kelvin Gastelum, Vettori gave him the best run for his money. Now, he's got a solid ground game. He struggles a little bit with the gas tank. He struggles a little bit with the takedown. But this is a super young kid. He's 26 years old, and he's been on the sidelines since October of 2019. He has had this fight locked up over and over and over again, and it keeps falling through. We saw the video of them getting into it after their last fight got canceled because Robertson had a medical issue. The doctors pulled him from the card. There's some serious beef and heat behind this card. I want to pick Vettori, Jimmy, but I hate that price tag, and I've got a lot of cappers who I very much respect, including my boy in the chat, UFC Bro Picks, that is on Carl Robertson. Now, the thing is, I can't get behind the dog in Robertson either because of the hole in his game. That ground game is a massive issue. The 2 times he's lost in the UFC have been to Cesar Ferreira and Glover Teixeira. Now, granted, Glover Teixeira is at 205 pounds. He took that fight a weight class up on short notice. Y'all know I love my boy Glover, and he even crushed Anthony Smith lately. So that's a different level of competition. But Cesar Ferreira, that's a common opponent. We've got Marvin Vettori, who is one of the few people that decided to take down the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu standout and dominated him for 15 minutes. So I don't think Robertson has anything for Vettori on the ground. However, I do think Robertson has an edge on the feet. So it's just going to depend on who can bring their game plan to bear here. If Robertson can defend the takedown, land some shots as Vettori is coming in, he's got a great chance at a knockout. If Vettori gets Robertson on the ground, I think he's got a great chance to submit. I want to be on the side of Vettori. I thought about parlaying him. However, I am too scared to do so at this point. I'm staying off.
Now, also with Vettori, I mean, that Israel Adesanya fight could have went either way, right? You think? Yeah. So
it was close.
That's the only guy to give the champ, you know what I mean, that's been destroying people.
And that was 2 years ago.
Yep, and he's only gotten better in my opinion.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's Vettori for me, or pass. Usually say dog or pass, but I can't trust, like you said, Robertson with his horrible takedown defense, and I don't think he's mopped that up in the last 4 or 5 months during COVID. You know what I mean? You just can't with your training partner. So it's Vettori for me.
There you have it. That's the co-main event. That was fun hearing the cappers in the chat on the dog. That was fun. I like that. Making You Money says Vettori went the distance with Style Bender. Making You Money, it's funny because the amount of cappers who were backing Baby K, some of them were saying, why don't you take Baby K by decision and get a huge score rather than just
he doesn't beat Vettori by decision. In my opinion, if he beats Vettori, he's got to land a bomb. I don't think he can go 3 rounds with Vettori because Vettori's going to take him down. He's got to land a bomb, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, if it's worth it, if it's plus like 700 or more, 600 or more maybe. But
Vettori's also going to throw more volume. I mean, Robinson's a very low volume striker. I mean, he's like I said, he's only throwing 6 strikes a minute. I know he's very accurate, but he's normally always going to get out volumed on the
Smaller
feet.
cage too.
It's going to be hard to win a decision if you're not throwing enough volume.
Yeah.
Well, that is your co-main event. Let's go into the main event. Let's let our man Timothy Topher take us there. He says, worst main event ever, but like the good gambler he is. Hoping Cynthia makes me 3 units. Let's get into it right now. Women's flyweight bout, 5'6" American Jessica Evil Eye, 15-7-0. It's a pick'em going up against 5'4" American Cynthia Calvillo, 8-1-1. It is a pick'em. Boston Nick, who are you picking?
Oof. I mean, Cynthia right now, she's moving up in weight here, if I'm not correct, right, Clint?
Yeah, normally she fights at 115. She's coming up to 125 on this one.
Okay. I mean, she's got a few decent wins at 115. Courtney Casey, JoJo Calloway, which I know you love, Clint. That's one of your ex
girl JoJo.
Yep. But that was at 115 pounds. This is at 125 now. So I will be the bigger girl here for sure. You know what I mean? And she did come off a big loss to Valentina Shevchenko, but came back and beat Viviana Arujo. I can never pronounce that last name right, but unanimously. And she's no slouch. This is a tough one. It's a coin flip, like the basically the odds. What are we getting on I right now, Jimmy?
It's a pick'em. -110.
I mean, if it's a pick'em right now and it's a 5-round fight, I believe that Cynthia might gas Jessica. It's a small lean to Jessica. Small lean to Jessica.
GK, what do you think about this pick'em? Oh, you're muted, my man.
Keep doing that. Sorry, guys. Worst main event in UFC history, number 1. I don't know. This is a very evenly matched fight, but I think the size is going to make a huge difference here. And how Calvillo loves her striking now since she went over to Thailand and started working over there. And I think that newfound love of striking is really going to be at her detriment. Mm-hmm. I think she really needs to use that wrestling to win this fight. And if she doesn't, and she thinks she's going to win a striking match against Jessica Eye, who's much bigger, much stronger than her, who has more pop in her strikes, she has another thing coming. And I'm at pick'em odds. I think I hate Jessica Eye. I despise that woman. She's super cringe. Like,
yeah, me too.
Like she's worse than Henry Cejudo. So
it's worse because she's not doing it on purpose.
You're right. You're right. That's just her.
But yeah, I'm going with I here, man. She's fought the better competition. She's fought the bigger girls. You're talking about Valentina Shevchenko, one of the best ever. I'm going with I here. I think she rolls over Calvillo.
GK liking I in this flyweight bout. Clint, what do you think here? What's the move?
So, Jimmy, not to put you on the spot, buddy, but did you end up playing those overs on the main event last week?
Well, the sad part was that I don't know if it's sad, but we went 10 hours, a full 10 hours on my show.
Oh, I know you did.
I was deep in the sauce, and what happened to me was as soon as that my show's over, I have to study for the next day's horse races. So I can't go watch. I have to go into a dark room alone and study, and so that's what I did. Sadly.
Do you not bet if you can't watch it, Jimmy? Are you one of those guys? I am.
Generally, but the thing is, I couldn't even have it on because I had the clock is ticking because now that Gulfstream starts so early. My show started at 11. So when we were done our show, my next show started in 13 hours and 50 minutes, and I had 5 cards. It was just it's over 100 races, right?
It's
like 24. It's like the TV show 24.
I'm so sad to hear that, Jimmy, because you were talking about taking every single over in the book, and the fight went the decision. You would have cashed every single one of them. And my over 2.5 at +140. That over 3.5 was +200. The over 4.5 was +330. Would have been a massive, glorious night. And I was hoping you would just show me a fistful of money.
Yeah. You have 1.5 to be safe, like you know what I mean? And I regret it. I should take the over 2.5. Yeah, I put 3 units on it, but still the over 2.5 at plus money, right? You got Clint plus money?
I got it way early at plus 140. It was sitting around plus 125 for a while and hit closed around minus 120.
Well, it was with the angle really was you got this Canadian underdog who's going to take a beating, and we know what you know about Canadians is you can keep punching them in the face, they'll keep
They're
coming
tanks.
at you. And so we had this Canadian underdog, and then if you're watching with your boys drinking, every second that goes by, you're making more money. Right. So how much fun is that?
Yep.
I'm sad that I didn't get to run in. Are you thinking something similar here?
Well, we don't have totals on this one yet, so unfortunately, I'm not able to go quite that hard on this one. I don't think it's quite the same setup because I know people are poo-pooing this fight. I know everyone's talking about how bad of a fight that this is, but honestly, guys, it's a really good matchup, stylistically speaking, for the MMA hardcores like ourselves. This is a fun fight. These two match up really, really well. We've got Calvillo, who is a gorgeous girl that the UFC is looking to get behind. She is a brand material fighter moving up a weight class to take on a former title challenger. I think the UFC is trying to get one over on Jessica Eye here. I think they want Calvillo to win this fight. And Calvillo looks very, very motivated. She struggled at 115. Even though she's a little bit smaller, I think she's going to look pretty good at 125. I want to see them when they face off. I want to see them on the scales and see just how big that size difference is. But Calvillo is a solid, solid prospect, Jimmy. I heard a lot of people talking about how her last fight against Courtney Casey, she barely got by a terrible fighter in Courtney Casey. And people were talking about how she went 0-6 on her takedowns. And this is a girl who's supposed to be a grappler. She couldn't get a takedown on Courtney Casey. Guys, watch that tape again. She didn't want the takedown. She was toying with Courtney Casey. She was testing out her boxing. This girl's been working out at Tiger Muay Thai and now at AKA, and she's improving every single time we see her. She saw an opponent who she wasn't threatened, and if she ever needed to, she could pull it out of her back pocket, that grappling, and hit the mat, but she just never needed to because she dominated in the striking realm. That was a test fight. That's like when Khabib took out Al Iaquinta and decided not to grind him on the mat. He wanted to feel that 25-minute champion fight because it was the one time he felt safe enough to do so. And I really feel like that's affecting this line right now, is the fact that she fought close with Courtney Casey. I'm on Calvillo here, Jimmy. I haven't locked in the bet yet because I see money coming in on I, and I think I'm going to get plus money on Calvillo. She's an even money underdog right now. I think it's going to get bigger. And I is actually coming into this fight a little bit on short notice. They told Calvillo, I think Calvillo was getting ready for a fight sooner, and then I was offered the fight later. She's kind of jumping in here at the last second. We know with these COVID situations, I don't know how well her gas tank is going to be here. And we know Calvillo is going to be able to go the full 25 minutes of this fight. On top of that, what we've seen from Aya is she's always struggled with wrestlers, Jimmy. I talk about this on my podcast a lot. The threat of the takedown, not the actual takedown, but simply the threat of the takedown shells people up. If you think, you know what, I don't think I can stop this girl and I really don't want to be underneath her, you are hesitant. You don't fire strikes. The other person, on the other hand, all they've got to do is lean down and touch your thigh to remind you, I can put you on your ass, and then they can open up with their hands more. And on top of that, my girl Calvillo averages 4.12 significant strikes per minute when compared to Jessica Eye's 3.79. I know it's not a huge margin, but she is averaging more output in the striking realm. I think she's going to edge out rounds. She likes to seal rounds with takedowns. And even though Jessica Eye has been working on her grappling, it's always been the Achilles heel in her game. She's only got a 59% takedown defense rating. And we saw, now we can't compare Calvillo to the great Valentina Shevchenko. But as soon as this fight hit the ground, she had no way to get up. There was no answer to the ground game. She has a good guard. She can reestablish her guard and keep herself out of bad positions when Eye is on her back, but she doesn't have a way to get back to her feet. I honestly think this is going to be close on the feet. I think Eye has got more power, but I think Calvillo is actually faster and more technical at this point, and I think Calvillo having that grappling in her back pocket is going to be the difference maker. I've got Calvillo here, and the way that she was talking, she talked in an interview I heard earlier this week about not wanting to leave this fight to the judges. Jimmy, I'm not going to touch an over on this one because I think there's a half outside shot that Calvillo goes for the kill.
She said that, huh?
She did.
Do you think that she might have fell in love with her striking a bit too much, where she over at Muay Thai,
No, sir. She's training out at AKA, buddy. Who else in this world is known for their grappling other than AKA? They've got Cain Velasquez, Daniel
Did she come from Tiger
Cormier.
Muay Thai before that?
What's that?
Did she come from Tiger Muay Thai before that?
She was training at Tiger Muay Thai before that, and for this camp, because of the COVID situation, she's hanging out at AKA. Her grappling is going to be sharp. It's going to be on point.
Yeah, smaller cage too. You're right. I mean,
and like I said, she didn't fall in love with her striking. She needed to test her striking at an elite level, and she picked the right opponent to do it.
I'm gonna go back on my lean here. It's not to Jessica Eye. It's on Cynthia. It's on Cynthia with the especially the small cage.
I just need to know that Calvillo is going to go for the takedowns. If she does that, then we know that Calvillo is the right side. But it just I need to know that.
I want to see her at the scales, like you said. My biggest thing here is I gotta see Cynthia after the weigh-ins. It's my biggest thing here on my notes is I have to see Cynthia after the weigh-ins to see what she looks like up against Jessica Eye, because like we were talking about earlier, the bigger girl usually wins. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
And did any of you guys watch her last fight against Marina Rodriguez?
Yeah, was it a draw?
It was a draw.
Yeah.
Marina Rodriguez had massive physical advantages on Cynthia Calvillo. Jimmy, I know you probably don't know this one. She came out like a bat out of hell. She's an impressive striker. She's got a height and reach advantage, and she basically messed Calvillo up for 2 rounds. But you know what Calvillo did? Instead of going back and calling it quits, instead of throwing in the towel or just taking her beating, in round 3, she came out and she put Rodriguez on her ass, and she almost finished the fight, Jimmy. She laid such a beating on her that in an MMA game where people do not like giving 10-8 rounds, she scored 2 10-8 rounds on the judges' scorecards and forced that fight to a draw.
Yeah,
if that fight had 30 more seconds in it, 20 more seconds in it, she would have got the TKO victory, and I think that's the blood that she is tasting. I think after doing that to a high prospect like Rodriguez, I think she knows that she's got that ability to finish, and she's got the gas tank to do it after getting her ass beat for 2 rounds. So Calvillo is the person in this fight that can pull that finish out of her back pocket if she gets down 2 rounds. If we're in round 4, if we're in round 5, she has the grit, the determination, and that never quit attitude to come back and get that finish. I like Calvillo a lot here. And like I said, I like her at an even money underdog, but I think I might get plus 120. So I'm going to sit tight for just a second. If it bounces back the other way, I'm probably going to lock it in sooner than later.
The only thing in my mind that's messing me up right now with this fight is just her going up to 125. You know what I mean? She did all that against 115-pound girls, and I just it's tough.
She's a thick 115er, Nick. She struggled with that weight cut, and with I coming in on shorter notice, I think I's going to have a gas tank issue. And if I has a gas tank issue and Calvillo does not with the extra 10 pounds,
of course, but you know that Cynthia has. It's not. She hasn't been able to make weight because it's a little bit of laziness in a lot of people's opinions. And she could make 115 pounds if she wanted to, but she's a little bit lackadaisical when it comes to what she wants to eat. So that's why she's fighting at 125 right now. I think she should drop back down to 115 and get her diet right, and she'd be a serious contender there. Obviously, she's not a serious contender at 125 pounds. We know what Valentina would do to her. You know what I mean? So, yeah. That's where I'm at. I'm gonna lean here, Cynthia, just simply off its 5-round fight, smaller cage, and I think she'll be able to get it to the ground.
Cynthia Calvillo building steam here with the cappers that we are rolling with. Thank you guys so much for joining. It's been real fun. But before we go, best bet time, main card time. Nick, you had your thunder taken in the preliminary best bet by Clint. Maybe you can give it back to him right here. What is your best bet on this card? Boston.
Maybe I should have circled this beforehand. A lot of the props aren't out yet, so that's where I usually like to take angles in it or prop bets. But
that's where Nicky makes his money.
He knows it. What can I get feel yet?
You can get all touchy-feely at minus 225.
Oh, I can't do that.
Why can't you do that, Nick?
That's just too much juice. You know that.
225 is not bad if you believe in the pick.
I'd rather take Marab by decision at minus 200. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I get it. Marab the Machine by decision at -200. Just bleed in the house. His best play is
Aguilar -165.
Aguilar -165, but that's back up. That's the prelim. So
Yeah, prelim.
we're gonna stick with the main card. Best we got picks.
Best pick, son. Main card.
Yeah, that's all right.
GK, best bet main card.
Tough one. I'm probably gonna play it safe and take Marvin Vettori -220. I do like his skill set, and I think he should get it done over Robinson. Faced a much better competition. He got the better all-around skill set, and he's gonna get the win here.
Now I want to say, Friday night, check out our after the weigh-in show with Mo Scream, and if Clint can join us this Friday, that'd be nice as well. We're bringing guests on. GK, if you're available, we'll bring everybody on after the weigh-ins. I think we might have Joey work as well, maybe with Frankie Perez. And but that's where I'll be giving out some more bets and some prop bets, because that's where I make my money, is in the prop.
So before we get to Clint's best bet, we have Clint's total show on Thursday. We have the weigh-in show on Friday, and then the boys will be going live for the fights on Saturday. So a lot of UFC here at odds.com. Clint, best bet time.
Well, Jimmy, as you know, I can't give you my chalky bet because absolutely the best bet on the card is Merab Dvalishvili, but I'm not going to give the people a -400. And you would think I'd want to give you a pick on the main event, but you know what? I have to. I would love to give you Charles Jourdain as my best bet, Jimmy, because I love the juicy dog odds on that one. But honestly, the more I think about it, I'm going to go with Cynthia Calvillo. She's my best bet on the card. You're getting even money. If you hesitate just a little bit, you may be getting plus money. I think this is a changing of the guard matchup, and it's a good, tight line that we are getting on her. I'm going to rock with Cynthia Calvillo.
I like that.
Oh, that's exciting. I like it. A look on the main event. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you to the chat. We'll give the chat a big shout out here in a second, but let's thank our analysts. Let's start with GK Garrett making his debut here at odds.com. What a treat it is. GK, tell us a little bit about the TFTA podcast.
Yeah, guys, we have this podcast, as you can see, the fighter and the analyst, between me and my man Peter Petties. We usually do it Saturdays at 3 p.m. right before the fight, so you guys can get those bets in right before, hit the sports book and cash out with us. You can find us on YouTube, The Fight Analyst, or Facebook, The Fight Analyst. That's where we usually stream all of our podcasts on Saturdays, 3 p.m.
And isn't Peter Peters? He's PFL. He's a PFL fighter, right?
Yeah, he fought on the Contender Series against I forgot his name, and then yes, he fought on the PFL as well.
Yep.
Follow our man GK also at Fight Analysts. That's with an S at the end of it. At Fight Analysts on Twitter. Boston Nick, aka Mr. Fat Fist. Where can we see you this week?
On Twitter, Mr. Fatfist, MRFATFIST. Boston Nick MMA is my YouTube page. Not a lot of content there. You can also reach me on Mo Screen TV. I'm always there. We're always doing live shows. Most of all, you can reach me at Odds HQ. That's where I'm putting all my MMA content out, and Odds 110 on Twitter. So subscribe, guys. I appreciate the support, literally from the bottom of my heart.
Beautiful. And Clint, my man, follow him at DieHardMMa Pod. But we have that's every Monday, and then we have a new show coming from you on Thursdays. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Jimmy, we call it Total Madness because we're going to go over the totals for every single UFC event. I'm going to break down the entire fight. We're going to start over and look at it simply from a totals perspective. We broke down the whole card. I did it on my podcast yesterday. We do the roundtable on Tuesdays, and then on Thursdays, I'll be setting up this video where we talk about the overs and unders. And sometimes we find some very, very sneaky value on the totals. So I look forward to Total Madness. Come hang out with me. Check out that video when it hits odds.com's YouTube page.
I love it. I love it. But we have nothing without these great campers in the chat. Thank you guys so much for rolling with us. Walla Walla Dose. We had the Making You Money team in the house. Beach Boss, Alex Ramirez, West Coast Sports Gambling Daily, SGD Nation rolling with us. Just Bleed MMA, Gregory Wilson, Timothy Topher, Flipper 13, Twist 1, Kelly McMillan. What a great group. We had Danny Lags, the capper. Danny Lags, great to see Danny Lags.
Oh,
Danny.
Danny Legs.
Yeah, Danny Lags in the house.
My boy
T-Man's
Lags.
World. T-Man's World rolling with us. What a great group. Gabriel Killian giving us great insights as well. Ixnizzle, Brandon Williams, Brandon Lease.
Dennis Garcia
rolling with us.
and
Great.
Beach Boss. I found that friggin' photo a couple days ago. I had to brag about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Okay. Thank you guys so much for rolling with us. This is Odds HQ. If you could hit the subscribe button, we'd be very, very thankful. Follow us on Twitter, Odds110. And on behalf of these great analysts, we had GK, Boston, Nick, and Clint started the DieHardMMa podcast rolling with us. Get that cash on Saturday and watch the boys Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Get paid in full.